Some roommates are loud, some are messy. Mine was different. From the first night, the house felt wrong. Too quiet, too still, like it was holding its breath. I told myself cheap rent was worth it until I noticed the details. The way the hallway shadows seemed to linger outside my door. The way the windows were sealed shut, painted over in thick layers. The way the air reeked faintly of bleach, like someone was always cleaning up a mess. And the worst part? I knew I wasn't alone in that house, even when he wasn't there. I'd found the place through a Craigslist ad that looked too good to be true. Private room, $400 a month. Quiet man, 40s, not home much. There were no photos, no long description, just an address and a number. But I answered it anyway. The guy's name was Mark, mid-40s, pale, thin, wearing a plain sweatshirt with no logo. He opened the door before I could even knock. No handshake, no smile, just a flat expression and a sentence I'll never forget. Rent's cash, no guests, no locked doors. He didn't ask me anything, not about my job, not even my last name. He just led me through a silent hallway to a bare bedroom. Twin bed, nightstand, closet with a single hanger. The kind of room that looks clean but doesn't feel lived in. That's when I noticed the lock, a heavy deadbolt drilled into the outside of the frame. I should have walked out right then, but I didn't. That night, lying in bed, the silence pressed down like a weight. No fridge hum, no creaks, not even the tick of a clock. It felt like the house had been designed to absorb sound. Sometime after midnight, I heard something. Click. The doorknob turning, slowly, carefully, then stopping. I held my breath, watching the thin strip of light under the door. My chest felt like it was going to explode. Then, nothing. Just silence. By morning, the bolt was shut. Someone had locked me inside while I slept. The morning after I found the bolt shut, I told myself it had to be some mistake. Maybe the lock slid on its own. Maybe I'd imagined the sound of the doorknob turning. But then I noticed my phone charger was gone. I always loop it around the lamp before bed. Now it was missing. I tore apart the sheets, checked my bag, even pulled the bed from the wall. Nothing. When I asked Mark about it, he tilted his head slightly, like he was amused. "You probably misplaced it," he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes stayed on me too long. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., it happened again. Click. The slow twist of the doorknob. A pause. Then another. I sat up, staring at the door, waiting. Eventually, the sound stopped, but I didn't move until the sun came up. The next morning, I tested the windows again. None of them opened. Each one sealed with bent nails hammered into the frames. Day 3 was worse. I woke up in the middle of the night to faint footsteps in the hallway. Slow, measured. They stopped right outside my room. I held my breath, gripping the edge of the blanket. After what felt like forever, they started again, fading down the hall. When I finally got up to check, the bolt was locked shut. It wasn't an accident. He was doing it on purpose. The 4th night, I heard breathing, not mine. Heavy, steady, just on the other side of the door. I pressed my face against the mattress, trying to muffle the sound of my own panic. In the morning, Mark was making coffee in the kitchen. He glanced up at me, smiling faintly. "Sleep well?" he said. It sounded less like small talk and more like a test. The 5th night, I tried to stay awake. I sat up in bed, eyes locked on the door. At 2:17 a.m., I heard the soft creak of the floorboards in the hall. Then a shadow slid across the thin line of light under the door. The knob twisted, once, twice, then stopped. I leaned forward, holding my breath. That's when the bolt slid shut from the outside. My heart sank. I whispered to myself, I need to get out of here. But the front door had no chain, no knob lock, just a deadbolt that needed a key. And the key wasn't mine. That morning, I smelled bleach. Strong, sharp, drifting up from the basement. I'd smelled it faintly before, but now it was overpowering, stinging my nose. When I passed the door to the basement, I noticed something else. Scratches around the frame, like someone had tried to claw their way out. I told myself I was imagining it, but deep down, I knew I wasn't. I waited until Mark left for work. I don't know why I thought that morning would be different. Maybe it was the way he'd smiled when I asked about the bleach, like he knew I'd been smelling it, like he was waiting for me to notice. The second his car pulled out of the driveway, I started searching. I began with the room, the closet, the vents. That's when I saw it, a small black circle glinting behind the slats. I ripped the cover off, hands shaking. A camera, pointed directly at my bed. I staggered back, heart pounding. I dragged a chair under the smoke detector above the nightstand. Another lens. The walls weren't walls, they were mirrors, feeding him everything. I tore through the rest of the room, finding two more. One tucked into the bookshelf, one in the corner outlet, disguised as a charger. The house wasn't just watching me, it was studying me. I stumbled into the living room, barely able to breathe. That's when I saw the router, old, dusty, sitting in the corner. I grabbed my phone and pulled up the Wi-Fi list. 3 saved networks. Subject 1, Subject 2, Subject 3. Each one with dates. My fingers trembled as I typed the names into Google. They weren't usernames. They were people. 3 missing persons, all from nearby towns, all last seen within the past few years. My stomach dropped. I felt my knees give out, and I sank to the floor. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. This was real. I should have run right then, but my eyes landed on the basement door. The bleach smell hit harder as I descended. The air was damp, the concrete floor cold against my feet. In the far corner, stacked neatly, were boxes. The first one I opened had clothes, a purse, a cracked phone case, lipstick. The next box was worse. IDs, driver's licenses, photos, all tagged with masking tape labels, numbers, dates. I forced myself to check another. VHS tapes, each marked subject with a number scrawled in black marker. I pulled one out. Subject 2. My hand shook so badly I nearly dropped it. I didn't need to play it. I already knew. This wasn't a house. It was a hunting ground. Am I the next one? I don't remember climbing the stairs. My body just moved, autopilot fueled by panic. Back in my room, I shoved the chair against the door and gripped my phone so hard my knuckles ached. That's when I heard it. The front door opening. Mark was home. I froze. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but there was nowhere to go. The windows were nailed shut. The front door needed a key. The basement was worse. His footsteps were calm, steady, moving down the hall, closer and closer. They stopped outside my room. Silence. Then his voice, muffled through the door. Too calm, too casual. "You've been exploring." My heart slammed in my chest. I didn't answer. The silence stretched thin, like a wire pulled tight. Then I heard it, the soft unzip of a bag, the rhythmic tapping of keys. My phone buzzed. I looked down at the Wi-Fi list. A new network appeared. Subject 4. My name was in parentheses beside it. I dropped the phone. My entire body went cold. Through the gap under the door, I saw the shadow of his feet. He didn't knock, didn't try to open it. He just stood there, waiting. I pressed my hand over my mouth to stop the sound of my breathing, and that's when I finally understood. He didn't need a roommate. He needed someone to watch.
And that's where we'll leave it tonight. The fire's burning low, but its glow never truly dies. Come back to the fire next time, and I'll have another story to share.